Inside this box is the world's smallest production V8 engine. Just like a V8 in a regular car, just a little smaller. We gotta put this thing together piece by piece. We're gonna show you all the parts that make this thing tick, then we're gonna install it in an RC car just to see how much power it makes. That's fire. Piece of this is a $1,600 kit, dude. Come on, young. Let's unbox this thing. All right, here we go. Let's see what's in this little crate here. Toyan Engine is the manufacturer. This is a 28cc motor. It's pretty small, obviously.
The pieces actually look like small car parts. The Toyan engine is engineered to, in theory, be a functional V8 engine.
Look at this cute little crankshaft. Look at that. That's so cute. It's cross-plane. Whoa!
Air cleaner?
Air cleaner, that's sick, dude. That's so cool. Oh! Dude, do we have to build this? It's just cool to like have these little pieces.
Most RC cars use nitro engines. These two-stroke engines are smaller and lighter than your traditional four-stroke engine, which is good because smallness and lightness is important in an RC car. But this engine is set up to run on good old gasoline, just like your full-size V8. But this is a model first and a working engine second, so we're probably going to have to do some backyard engineering to get this thing to not only start up, but to idle consistently. So, here's the plan. Assemble this bad boy, and then install it on our big chunky rock crawler chassis and drive it around.
Let's get to work.
Let's.
So like any other engine build, we're starting with the bottom end. That means putting the crankshaft and the piston and connecting rods into the block itself. This is actually very similar to the LS that we installed on low car. Like a normal engine, these are also aluminum. Aluminum actually has really great strength when being stretched this way. In a connecting rod application, that's what that thing's doing. It's going up and down thousands of times a minute. So that makes sense that you want something that resists stretching and breaking. All right, big milestone, the crankshaft is going into the block.
Yes.
The crankshaft is in, the pistons are in, but it all rotates pretty easily. Yeah. Just gonna wipe up this extra goop and move on to the next step. Time out on the field for today's sponsor, DraftKings. We're officially through the first round of the NFL playoffs, and if the excitement of the upcoming big game isn't enough to get your blood pumping, then you need to download DraftKings. Right now, they're offering new customers a winning offer, and all you've got to do is sign up for DraftKings using the promo code DONUT, bet at least $5 on any NFL playoff game, and you'll instantly receive an additional $200 in bonus bets. Hold on. Let's review that play. The ruling on the field is, you heard that right. New customers bet just $5 on any NFL playoffs game and instantly get $200 in bonus bets. And with $200 in bonus bets, you should try using the same game parlays. It lets you combine multiple bets from the same game to give yourself a shot at even bigger winnings this playoff season. And hey, if mobile sports betting is not yet available in your state, you can still get in on the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy. Hey, I saw that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. And remember, new customers use promo code DONUT, bet at least $5 on any NFL playoffs game, and instantly get $200 in bonus bets. That's promo code DONUT, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Surprisingly, the Toyan engine is coming together without any major hitches. Though the smaller scale is leading to a few quirks in construction, the whole assembly is pretty easy.
It's not every day you can put a whole engine in the vise.
But little did we know, this would be about the only easy part of the build.
You gotta assemble all of this, huh? This is great.
You know, if this costs a quarter of what it does, it'd be a pretty cool little thing for your kid. This is a $1,600 kit.
Wow.
Not many people can say they built an engine in a day. Although, actually, yeah, that's pretty common. So I'm using logic based on how real engines work to assume that this is how this one works. So here goes. Shout out to all the model makers out there. You guys have a lot of patience. I know you guys put a lot into your craft in this. This is definitely making me respect that a lot more. Look at that. It's got the freaking belt on there. On the home stretch here, building our little Toyan V8. And it's not just a model, like we get to get this thing to run somehow. But let's finish that first and worry about that later. All right, there you go, man. Perfect. Freaking V8 engine that we built in 7 hours. What do you think?
This is freaking crazy.
And so, the engine is done.
Right, yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So what's the horsepower rating? Currently 5.
This makes more horsepower than the Cabrio.
I would believe that this could legitimately power something.
Totally, yeah.
Dude, good job. You assembled a whole V8 by yourself.
But our glory is short-lived. We're missing some vital parts to our engine, namely the cooling and ignition system, and we still don't know how the ignition system is supposed to be timed to tell the spark plugs when to fire. But luckily a package showed up just in time. Inside are an awesome tiny radiator and overflow tank for the coolant. We still have a problem with the ignition system though. This also meant we'd have to wire up our own electrical system for sparking the plugs, which none of us were very excited about.
So you gotta get little spark plugs?
Yeah, it's gonna be a pain. It's gonna suck.
It's gonna be
everything about getting it running is probably gonna suck.
And there's also another problem.
Oh, that's got some heft to it.
Yeah, it's like all billet, dude.
This toy and engine was way heavier than we anticipated, and it would flatten our stock set of tires, so we needed to order new ones. Even with everything we thought we needed, we were still in uncharted territory.
We have a lot of little intricate parts and zero instructions. I haven't seen a piece of literature in any of these boxes. Joby is off in the shop. He's fabricating a piece that'll mount to this chassis.
With any luck, that's gonna turn into an engine mount.
Hopefully that'll line up and then start piecing everything together to see if we can get this thing fired up. But you know what though? I'm confident we can figure it out. If there's one thing we can do here at Donut, it's kind of solve problems.
Okay, engine mount is mostly complete. We just gotta put it on the engine, made it up to the chassis, and then we gotta make 2 holes to mount it to the chassis with. We were off to a smooth start. I fabricated an engine mount for the chassis and installed it no problem. Big progress here, namely the engine has gone into the chassis, which is a huge step, and it looks ridiculous.
It's so big.
But that's where the real problem started. The radiator fit on just fine, but would be sort of useless until the engine was running. And the tires, on the other hand, well, they were big enough to hold the heavy engine, but they were too big, which created a new issue.
This thing's not gonna turn at all, dude.
And the ignition, well,
No spark, huh? Interesting.
try it against the gray side a little more. Since this little engine runs on gasoline, it needs teeny tiny spark plugs and a tiny computer to control the spark. But the controller that we got isn't sending the signal to fire the spark plugs. If we couldn't get the electrical system figured out, this thing would be dead in the water.
All right, this isn't working.
I agree.
Oh boy.
No spark means no combustion, which means no power at all. It means the engine doesn't run.
The ignition systems that we have, they kind of suck.
Yeah, this is not firing.
We can't start it.
All right, well, that's fun. We just wasted 8 hours.
Yeah. We would need to call in the nuclear option.
Well, I'm working on one of these little toy-in engines. I saw you had a video on one of these things.
Oh, man.
Our buddy Matt from Warped Perception had his own video where he powered the toy-in engine, so we gave him a call to see if he could help us with ours. But as it turns out, Matt was having the same problems we had.
Like, were you able to get any spark at all? Were you?
No, I couldn't get anything. I powered it, and I thought it was weird the way that I don't know how they're timing that.
Still, we weren't about to admit defeat. We talked with Matt some more and finally came to a solution.
How much of a pain in the ass is it to convert this thing to glow plugs?
Super easy.
Is it?
Super easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so new plan. We're gonna switch this thing to nitro power. So instead of gasoline, we'll be using nitromethanol. And we're going to pull out our spark plugs and replace them with glow plugs.
All right, day 3 of working on this thing. Couldn't get that ignition system to work, so we opted to switch to nitro and glow plugs. A lot simpler of a system, so we're gonna go ahead and figure out how to wire up the glow plugs. Job is handling that while I handle the rest of the assembly. We're getting really close. So yeah, if I don't finish this car by the end of this night, I'm gonna eat my own foot.
All right, so like Nolan just said, we are switching to a nitro meth setup, which means we get to use glow plugs. So there's 3 big benefits that we're getting in switching to nitro meth. One is the glow plugs, and they work. We already tested them. They glow, so they will ignite the fuel. Another big benefit of nitro meth is that it has 9% oil in it, so it lubricates the engine. The oil in the fuel will help that engine last longer and run better. The other huge benefit is that you can make almost twice the power with nitro meth versus regular gasoline. So things gonna be a lot faster too. The only problem is that it didn't come with any wiring, so I'm taking care of that right now. With our new plan, things seem to be going better. But we still have a few hiccups with the chassis side of our little build.
There's actually no hardware to connect the servo to the shifter, but if I can kind of get everything into place, we can kind of figure out the connecting situation later. And I think I'll just zip tie the battery to the car, and I think we'll be good.
We got the glow plugs working immediately, which is a good sign.
That's a nice little glow.
Yeah. With our fuel lines hooked up and our new ignition wired, we finally have all the pieces together. It's time to see if we can fire it up.
Day 4, and if we don't get this thing started, Job's gonna leave me.
That's right, man. I ain't got time for this.
We got the ignition system together. Job soldered a bunch of
D-cell batteries.
D-cell batteries together. I think we're good to give this thing the old shot.
Yeah, we'll give it a shot. We'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that everything that we've done comes together and works. Glow plug power.
Let them warm up for a sec. Make sure it's in neutral. Glow plugs are hot. Here we go. Flipping the switch. Nothing's happening. Nothing.
Let me check voltage on this battery.
Yeah, maybe it's low.
I mean, I thought we were gonna have a lot of problems, but I didn't think that this would be one. Did it try to run?
Yeah.
You know, this thing is, it's very cool, but we put it together in a pretty quick hurry, and it's not like it's just gonna fire up like, you know, an engine you pulled out of a truck or something. But we are closer than we've been. We just lost the set screw on this, so it wasn't engaging the starter onto the flywheel very well. So hopefully, it's just an easy fix. But I think we're gonna have this kind of every step of the way, where, you know, as we get something figured out, we find the next thing that's gonna give us a little bit of trouble. So just keep tinkering and figuring it out along the way. Okay, so another day, another problem. At this point, we can get the engine spinning, but the fuel just isn't igniting. This could be for a few different reasons. When we wired up our battery, we wanted to power the glow plugs, which we did. But we didn't account for powering the starter. It's possible that the battery doesn't have enough amperage for the starter and the plugs. So while the engine is spinning, the glow plugs aren't hot enough to actually ignite the nitro, which results in the fuel spilling out the exhaust, which is creating its own problems. That's fire. So that's the other thing about this stuff, is it isn't super obvious when it's on fire, like right there you can see it. Or maybe the engine isn't compressing the fuel enough. Maybe the glow plug shorted out. Maybe the scaled down physics of a smaller engine make it way different than your average V8. Maybe we thought we were gonna be done with this shoot 2 weeks ago.
Maybe that's why it's having trouble pulling it, and now we're just adding way too much fuel.
Maybe.
It's definitely feeding, so that wasn't the problem.
Come on, you ugly. Well. But we can't get this thing running, and we're not gonna give up that easily. So I guess it's time to call in the nuclear option. Part 2, the sequel. You might remember Pacific Coast Hobbies from our previous video on RC cars. They happen to be experts on all things small and vehicular, and they were willing to help us out. Together we came up with a new plan. The plan is to use 8 individual glow plug heaters to power the plugs. This means we'll only have to worry about powering the starter. If we can do this, in theory, we can finally fire this engine up. So they sent us their best glow plug expert, Theo, and together we're gonna try to troubleshoot it. The heaters are installed and the fuel is flowing. All we have to do now is turn it on.
Stop. Yeah. It was different that time.
I don't know.
Let's try it again.
And no luck, but we're still not about to give up. We're still not sure what the issue is. It could be something obvious or something completely hidden.
I think that we have a air leak on our carburetors, and when you have an air leak, you can't tune the carburetor properly, you can't get the air-fuel ratio to be correct, so it's not going to fire. So maybe we have a pinched O-ring, something like that we can fix. Hopefully it's not pinched.
Or maybe we still haven't figured out the wiring.
It wants 11 that one wants 11.1 volts.
What is the max amperage of this box?
10. We're choking this one off quite a bit.
So we tweak the engine and start it. Check the voltage, run the engine, add more fuel, add some starter fluid, run the engine again, and again, and again, and again.
I mean, it's a model first, not a engine. Yeah.
But Nolan, people have got it to start.
Yeah, I know, it can be done, you're right.
What are they doing that we aren't?
Well guys, I think we've reached an impasse. I can continue working on this little engine and ignore pretty much everything else in my life, like normal sized cars, my loved ones, or other videos, or I can do the mature thing and give up. For now, we tried our best on this thing. We hired multiple experts. We even consulted people in other states, but it just didn't happen for now. But I swear that we will make another video. We will get this stupid little engine running, and we will get this RC car driving.
I'm gonna make Theo, Spencer, and Skylar over at Pacific Coast Hobbies and Matt at Warp Perception so proud when we get this thing going. They're gonna be like, whoa, nice job, Nolan. We didn't even get our cars running. So make sure you don't miss that video. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss it. Thank you for joining me on this journey. And thank you again to Pacific Coast Hobbies for all their help. You guys freaking rule. Go buy something from them. Go pick up a wrench and work on something, whether it's big or small. It doesn't really matter. As long as you do it, have fun with it.